So in your book, you talk a lot about also the demographics of winning in terms of conservatism. And you mentioned earlier how Romney would have obviously won an overwhelming victory if it hadn't been for the inundation of people of different populations who've been brought in by the 65 Act. Let me ask you from the Michael Medved perspective, because Michael takes the opposite perspective, and he and I have had this debate ourselves. Michael will argue that we have to do comprehensive immigration reform. We should be softer on the border. We should do all of this, and we should bring in more immigrants and find a pathway to citizenship, specifically because if we don't do this, then the Hispanic population in the United States is the fastest growing population, even just through natural growth and birth. What do we do in 20, 30 years to win elections as the white population of the United States, which historically votes Republican, decreases?
Well, a couple of things. I don't know how we could be any softer on the border. Perhaps we could fly them in directly from Central America. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Obama is doing that. You know, he's doing that. We are flying them in so they don't have to go through that arduous journey through Mexico, handing them a voter's registration card. Point two, I mean, it is certainly the case right now that if 71% of Hispanics had voted Republican in the 2012 election, Mitt Romney still would have lost. If 4% more whites had voted Republican, Romney would have won. And the analogy, not analogy, but the point, I guess, I make in my book is to California in 1994. The demographics of the entire country are about what they were in California in 1994, when Pete Wilson won a huge come-from-behind victory by tying himself with titanium cords to Proposition 187, an anti-illegal immigration measure. Would have cut illegal immigrants off from getting any government services. That, and to go back to how mass immigration of low-skilled workers, not popular with black Americans. Proposition 187 won a majority of blacks, of whites, of Asians, 30% of Hispanics. Even people who were voting for the Democrat were voting for Proposition 187. Pete Wilson got 20% of the black vote that year. Across the country, he got, or the average among congressional Republicans was only 8%. So there's your path to victory, Republicans. And then you've got to shut it down, because point three, well, okay, then we're just, I don't know, fiddling on the Titanic, because Hispanics don't care about amnesty. They're in.
Right.
They're already in. And of all the issues, we're not going to win the Hispanics. Also, this idea that there's some sort of Hispanic unity is something believed exclusively by white liberals. And the RNC, apparently. Talk to your maids once in a while. No, the Dominicans hate the Puerto Ricans, the Mexicans hate the blacks. There is no unity here. The reason immigrants post-1970 have been voting overwhelmingly for the Democrats is because they're poor, they're in need of government services, they come from one-party states, they are used to block voting for a particular group. I mean, as I say, the People's Revolutionary Party of Mexico ruled Mexico for 71 years. Just, you know, tell me what the symbol is. I have to go vote for, and I'll go do it. The reason we have poor people voting for Democrats is because that's what they do. And it's not just poor people. I mean, and it's not just brown people. Look at Piers Morgan if you want to see how immigrants would vote. And by definition, any immigrant to America makes America more statist and less free, because we are the freest country in the world. I mean, it's like any immigrant to Finland makes Finland less white. It's just, you know, a definitional matter. And when people move, look at poor Vermont. It used to be rock-ribbed Republican Vermont. A bunch of New Yorkers moved up there, and now they have Bernie Sanders as a senator. A lot of states have flipped when New Yorkers have moved into them. Maybe we should build a fence around New York. No, you guys. But